Hi everybody, an awful lot of people have been asking me to post a video about this new head unit that I just got from China. I'll do it in a reverse order, just showing you what I've ended up with the final product. This is the actual unit. It's a touch screen. I think it's about 9 inches in size. It's got its own Bluetooth which connects to my headset. It's got a little menu here where you can go through and install a whole heap of apps using Google Play. I've had issues trying to find the right app for the DAB+. So this one here with this icon, don't use that. That didn't work with the product that I bought. I ended up buying this DAB-Z, and with that little icon, and that works perfectly well. I can just try and load it up here. I'm in Brisbane. My DAB Plus is up here. I don't know if you can see that, but I got that to fit in beautifully nice on the driver's side window. If you wanted to, you could swap it over and install it on the left hand side. Alright, so I just found that I had a little loose wire in the back, so I've just fixed that up with a bit of tape. But what I've done is you basically click that, you press the settings button, and you end up just going through the station list, and you can program and input all of your DAB items in here. I always had it automatically start when the USB is detected, and it loads up pretty much straight away. Actually, I wanted to remain in the background playing as well, because I tend to switch between the DAB Plus and my Google Maps and let it run quite a bit. Sorry, little kid is just on top of me. This is generally what happens when you load up the video. This is what, or the monitor, and you turn on your car. This is what pops up. The music is the default MP3 player that's on your actual device. This you have to go in and wirelessly transfer, or you can USB transfer all your music onto the actual head unit and play it. I don't like it, but I don't use it, so I just ignore that all the time, and I just generally go to my DAB Plus, got my little favorites here, and then I just press my item or radio station, loads it up, and away I go. Or ABC Kids when I've got my kids in the back in the car. So also in here is Tlink. Tlink is what I use to wirelessly sync across to my Android, my Samsung S9 phone. So when I'm transferring across my phone, I just basically press Tlink. This pops up, connects to my phone, and it loads up with the screen. Here's my Google Maps. Type in wherever I want to do, and I can go, or otherwise I can use little Android Auto apps menu and choose what messenger things I want to go into. Now it doesn't allow you to play videos. I've attempted to try and play videos by using AMR link and trying to use VLC to play the screen on my actual phone. But there's other items in here such as ABC Listen. It's a audio app that I use my phone for in Queensland, Australia. We've got Messenger, Viber, WhatsApp, and then you can also add on more items as well if you want to. Stop.
Down.
Sorry, my kid is trying to get the car to go. So as you can see, it's got my little preset menus. Type it in there and it'll bring me to wherever I want to go. So also I've got a ODB2 by using Torque Pro. When I click on that, we've got a few tricks and steps to go through to get this to work properly. But basically in real time, it'll just synchronize to the ODB2. Now I'm sitting here, the car is running, it's purring along at 650 RPM, which is very similar to what's shown on the dash. And everything else in here. So the accelerometer is taken from the actual phone. The vacuum, the load and the engine, the torque and the engine, the air intake temperatures, throttle, and so forth. So this is really cool. So you can go through You can add displays such as trip displays, which I was going to do again in the future. You can modify your your 0 to 10 seconds or your quarter mile setups in there as well, and accelerators. But here there's an emissions tab here, or emissions setup you can do as well. It's quite easy to use. You go hold your finger on it, press what you want. Generally whenever I want to go through a dial, items that pop up in green are what I can do. So I've had a couple of people ask me what can I do. So 0 to 100, 0 to 200, 0 to 60, quarter mile times. I'll just go through really slowly. There's a lot of ECU parameters that are not there. Android battery level, average trip speed. Sometimes these take a moment before they actually turn green. Engine coolant temperature, engine kilowatt at the engine block, and the engine load. So when I'm accelerating hard, I can see that engine load. It got up to about 95% when I was about 4,000 RPM. Engine RPM, of course. Yeah. So I thought that would take a second to load. So we've got the fuel trip, the fuel cost, the fuel rates, and fuel flow. So you've got to modify and adjust all of your input settings to make sure that your base parameters, such as average price that you fill up at the servo, what that is. Fuel remaining, and your fuel trim bank, and your fuel trim bank sensors. I'm not quite sure what they are, but I think the fuel trim sensors are actually my fuel sensors. So my fuel level is a little bit low, so I think that's the actual fuel level meter. Sorry, my kid is pressing all these buttons. Now where you've been seeing the screen come bright and go low, that's just my son playing with the lights, turning the lights on and off. So you can actually see the effect of the actual driving with the instrumentation lights on or off, and it does go bright and go dim. Fuel used, your GPS versus OBD speed difference. So this has got an inbuilt GPS, which I'll show you later. Air intake, manifold pressure, kilometers per liter, liters per kilometer. It's just another way of the software reorganizing the same inputs. Miles per gallon, so forth. So you got your O2 sensor voltage, your speed, throttle position, timing advance, trip average kilometers, miles per distance, trip distance again, trip time, trip turbo and vacuum gauge, and voltage. Okay, so to get out of here, I just press the home button. Funny thing about this is when you actually press the off button, all it does is just makes the sound go mute. Sorry, my kids got my wipers going like crazy. So that's the ODB2. I've shown you the Tlink. Bluetooth to your phone. This is your little menu as I showed earlier. You can go through, you can put in apps and install and uninstall apps. So someone was saying earlier on, when I set this up, what do I do? So obviously it's offline. Now what I've done is I've clicked on Wi-Fi, connected it, press and hold the Wi-Fi. So I drag the menu down, press and hold on the Wi-Fi, click with Wi-Fi, and then I connect it to my network. So I can connect it to my home network, or I can connect it to my actual phone. And when it's connected to my phone, then I can go into Google. Now, so in the background, I've just gone in and connected to the network. So when I go in, I've got full access to Google Play. Had to log into Google Play using my actual password and my username, which I didn't show for obvious purposes. But you can go in here, type whatever apps that you want to, and you can use it for MUI for headset units as well. Sorry, my kid has just turned off the car. So when you're in there also, you can use maps here too if you want to, and then that'll run off the GPS on the actual device. It did come with this default EasyCon connection to easily connect to your phone, and you can download that app and put it on your phone, but I found that was absolutely horrendously crap. So I used the Android Auto on my phone, and I paired that up with the Tlink on the actual headset unit. And I had to update Tlink just going into your Google Store, clicking on your name, clicking on my apps and games, and then you update all in there. So actually today I need to update some more things as well. So I'm just going to update them. Let's run in there in the background. You can also go into your file manager, another file manager. You can look at everything that's on the actual device. I've had awful problems trying to connect to USB connected devices. So if my phone was connected to this USB, I had awful difficulty reading the phone. So if someone figures out how to read that, that'd be really good. So what I do is I Bluetooth wirelessly transfer all my files from my phone onto the headset unit. In here you've got a digital radio, which I don't tend to use. I like using, sorry, it's not a digital radio. This is the inbuilt radio using the aerial that's plugged into the device. It works pretty well. I absolutely love it. But for me now, I'm loving my DAB Plus radio an awful lot more, and I've been using that. You've got settings for the steering wheel columns. So if you're using your steering wheel, you can go in here and set up and modify your settings for that if you want to. There is actually also headset settings for you to set up for using when you're going in reverse mode. So when you're in reverse mode, you can use your reverse mirror, and there's a whole lot of settings in here for your reverse mirror when you're using it. So the delay for the camera to come on, delay for recording, there's the line rulers, line trajectory, and reversing radar. Apologies for the wobbly camera. There's settings in here as well, so you can show the temperatures, so it reads the temperature as well. You've got voice command connections that you can use. I haven't set up any of this. I didn't find any need to set it all up. It just works perfectly okay with nothing being selected. The display, you can turn around and talk about the brightness. You can talk about themes as well. The sound, a lot of people are asking about the sound, but the actual sound, when I go into the apps and I look at the DSP setting, this is where I can go in and I can adjust all the sound. Now the sound is pretty awesome coming out of the car. I've got it set up on vocal. I just tend to have a liking for vocal. I listen to boring ABC Brisbane, which is an awful lot of chat, and I do an awful lot of phone calls in my car when I'm driving. So I like to hear sound an awful lot better and easier. If you want to actually hear sound, I'll give a little demonstration here on it. Okay, so with the music, I'm just going to use Samsung Music. I'm going to play my music that's on my radio. Alright, so that's just a quick demo. That there's nothing wrong with the sound on this. It's pretty good. So go back to the head unit. I was just showing you the settings. General, there's a whole heap of items in here for general. Temperatures, we've done that. We've done voice, we've done personal, we've done system. In here you can go in, you can upgrade the system, actually the MCU itself. Restore factory mode, or more is actually restoring factory mode as well. There's also themes in here as well. So you can go into themes and you can go in and you can pick different themes that you want to have on your headset as well, on your MCU. That's the radio. I just don't have the radio tuned in, but it's perfectly okay. You can also put a 4G into here, and under 4G you can connect it to the wireless network in here. I don't know if I can clone my existing SIM card and put that in there, but I'm going to try and figure out, see if I can do that, or buy a second account and put it onto my tablet. So that'll save me having to connect to my phone all the time as well, but that'll be really handy if it was on here. If there was notifications will come up here, and you just scroll down and it makes it a lot easier. Baba, please. Okay, so connection and disconnection. So on the bottom under here, there's just two screws, one here, one over here. And this whole entire unit just pops straight out.
Okay.
So I've pulled this out, and this is my setup at the back of it.
Wow.
So we can put in the end. Can you hold that? Hold for daddy? Thank you. Okay, so what we've got here in connections: aerial, we've got GPS, we've got a 4G antenna. Now my GPS is here, and my 4G antenna, it needs a little bit of glue to stick back down onto the surface here. It's very hot in Queensland and this keeps peeling off, so I just bought a little bit of super glue shot, and I was going to stick that down. There is the original hole in here. I'm not quite sure what that's for. I would love to know what that's for, but I just basically fed all the wires in through here, and I came up through the hole at the back, and that was really easy. You can just reach in with your arm, and that just pops straight out. So it's pretty easy to go in there as well and do that. So I've got two USB connections. These are just simple USB connections that go into the back of the head unit. One is the USB that I'm using for the OBD2, sorry, the DAB2. So that's my DAB2. It's DAB2 to USB. So this USB connection here is belonging to the head unit. This USB adapter is belonging to the DAB+. Make sure you buy that, because I found it very hard to find one that didn't have this USB connection. Now when you plug that USB connection into our adapter into your laptop or your computer, it doesn't read it. But that's why I was terrified when the DAB+ app on the unit didn't work properly. But when I started downloading around 20 or 30 of them, I found one that eventually worked, and that's the one I'll post a link for on the thing, on the video. This is the microphone connection. Microphone goes to your microphone. I installed the microphone up here on top of the corner of the, whatever what that's called, the window riser. Hold for that there. What else is in here? This is the wireless module that connect to your head unit. We have got a couple of subwoofers, CVS in, audio out, and all of these other connections you can actually check and find out and see what they are on the actual unit itself. So you get a lot of audio in, auxiliary in, you get all these adapters that come with the radio as well. Now one thing is when you're actually connecting it in, everyone, when you're connecting it in, you have to take these clips off the old fascia and then put them onto this one. Now otherwise it will just fall out of place and won't stay in place. The trick is the old unit that had the original radio in it, I had screws that went in here and here. This does not have any of those places for those screws to go in. So I just replace all of these. So there's two down there, there's two up here at the top, and I think there's one more down the bottom. Now for the and the original connections, like this is for the original hazard lights. These are the original vents that have been taken out and screwed in, and that was just straight all plug and play. For the getting the wires across up to the DAB+ into the microphone, I just basically popped that panel off there, and that panel popped off with a screwdriver. It's really easy. And I fed the wires in through here and basically through the top of the head unit. You can reach in with your arm almost. It is tight. I use a little like a 2 mil long shimmy of a stick, but if you have a yellow tongue electrical feeder, that's perfect. That'll pull you straight all the way through. I popped off this air vent unit with a screwdriver, and so I pulled all the wires through there, out through the air vent, and pulled them all through, got rid of all the slack, and then with this panel off, I fed them back in and up through here. Now be very careful when you're installing this unit, because these wires are very thin, very sensitive, and very easy to break. So be very careful. Have everything stuck to the window, stuck to the frame. There is also a copper base on that gets the earth off the car. So when I install it, I actually have to scrape the paint off the metal of the frame to make it work. All right, so scrape the paint off, get that bare connection onto metal, and then put your copper based connection from the DAB+ antenna onto the metal of the car. And my son has just gone away with the wind protection foam that was on top of the unit. The little bugger. Now the old unit I've kept it all in here. So I intended to sell this old unit, probably second-hand as spare parts if anyone wanted to use it. And I've got the, it's not the original radio, but it's a second-hand radio that went in there as well that originally did have Bluetooth. So you can see that this original frame is gone. It was like a little light grey coloured one. And this one is a black one, it's a jet black colour. When pushing this in, on a few occasions, I've caught my wires when pushing it in. So be extremely careful when you're pushing this in. Also, the original antenna wire, very, very, very short. Right, this only pops out about 1/2 inch. So every time I take my radio unit out, this antenna wire is too short. I don't really care about that for the moment because I'm going to replace my antenna wires and I'm going to buy a brand new FM antenna for a long range AM and short range radio as well. But that's it, everyone. These radio connections and adapters, they're all coming standard with the radio. I do have a whole heap of other devices. So the camera comes in here as well with the whole range of radio wire connections. I got 2 sets of these power and speaker adapters and FM adapter. So the FM adapter, you can either use the original one and plug in, but this also has ones that have the special 2-wire pin connector for some of the newer FM aerials. And that's, you got your camera in as well. So I haven't installed these items yet and this camera yet, but I'll be doing that tomorrow. The 4G, sorry, actually this, I said earlier on that this is the wireless connection for the steering wheel. That's actually wrong. This is the 4G SIM card connection. That's where that goes. It goes in here. That's all my original wires. So this is straight plug and play. This was originally spliced for the old radio, but it does connect to the original connector that's on the actual head unit. It's got a optical out as well, which is pretty neat. I'm not quite sure if some of the new amplifiers have audio optical in, but if it does, I will go with that. I absolutely love optical, but terrified of feeding that through all of these crevices in this car and damaging the optics in the actual cable. And that's it, I believe. Yes, that's everything that's on the back of this unit. Absolutely love it fitted. All the money that I paid for it, absolutely appreciate it, and I'm so delighted I had it installed. Thank you all. Best of luck, everyone. One last thing before I go, I did want to say that the USB cable I fed down between, like where this connection comes in, I fed it down through here and I pulled it all the way at the back and pulled it all through here. So in this glove box console here, middle of the car, I popped that down, got out the angle grinder and cut a little hole in the back and fed the USB through it. And that's where I've got my USB for powering my my phone, and it does charge the phone and it's got good power, so I think it's a 2 amp capability, so it does work really good for those long distance travels. So again, unit all installed, loving it. All right, thank you. Anyone got any questions, post it to the link below or follow the ODB2 enthusiast Facebook page and ask questions there. Thank you, bye.